Hi, I'm Chris Frankel, Director of Programming for TRX. You've seen this week's training tip and featured movement. Now let's get after the weekly sequence where we put it all together. This week's sequence is another way to sequence exercises together to look at strength. It's going to be a giant set approach where we're focusing on the same muscle groups with different types of movements and different planes of motion to give you more time under tension and different ways to work in 3D strength. The first move Andrew's going to perform is a single leg side plank. So he has it in single handle mode. That left foot is only suspended, that right foot is floating, that left shoulder girdle is tucked nice and tight so that whole left side of the body is working. And now he's going to let that hip drop to the ground and come up. He's going to make sure he hits that plank every time on the top, really working the lateral side of his body, the left side of his body, having to stabilize from that left hip and that left shoulder girdle. And now he's going to bring himself down to the ground, and now he's going to roll onto his back, and without taking his foot out of the foot cradle, he went from a side plank to a hip press position, where we're going to perform this hip press position with toes in. So he's going to drive the bottom of his foot down into that foot cradle. That right leg is now floating, and as he drives that foot down into that hip press, he's going to have to control those rotational forces. So while we were really focusing on the lateral side of that hip complex, now we're working more in the sagittal plane, looking at hip extension on that left side. Give one more rep here at the top. Notice Andrew's form is great. He's got a nice plank at the top, come down under control. He's going to bring that foot out, take it out of single handle mode, put it back into double handle mode. Go ahead and shorten it so the TRX is at mid-length, and now we're just going to go to a single leg squat. So we started with some lateral stress, we went to some focused hip extension, and now we're going to integrate it into triple flexion, triple extension, this giant set that keeps focus on that left side, left hip, left core the entire time. Go ahead and set yourself up. That right leg comes up in the air, and now up and down. So now he's done a little bit of pre-exhaustion into those glutes or some activation into those glutes depending on the load and the number of reps he did on them. And now he can really focus on this single leg squat being a hip dominant exercise working from that posterior chain, hamstrings, glutes. That lateral side is already lit up, and he's going to find his core turns on a little bit better. One more rep here, come up under control. And the good news is he's finished with that left side. The bad news is he's got another side. So make sure you balance out your body. But make sure you're looking at this giant set, working at the side plank with the hip drop, single leg hip press, and finishing off with the single leg squat. Thanks for watching this week's weekly sequence. Make sure to come back next week for more TRX TV.